Hey everybody, this is Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett, and we are doing a use it or lose it video. Um, I am having the weird camera thing again. I know that it has been happening, and then it just sort of goes away after. Ooh, that's like not the sign. That's apparently a sign that triggers a lot of people. That other one. So peace, my friends. All right, I'm going to deactivate the camera and sort of just get to it. So something I learned about, and I in my course that I'm taking for paralegal, I heard a story. It was an interesting story, and it was about a person that had filed, or they basically had gotten a credit card and a car loan from um, a credit union. And so the fact that it's credit union, it's not just limited to credit unions, but so don't. It's done more by credit unions, but it is not limited to credit unions, and you shouldn't necessarily hold it against a credit union that this is done. This is not any kind of statement against any credit union or anything like that, or the concept of credit unions. Um, But so what happened is this person got a loan for a car, and then they got a credit card. They were shortly afterwards communicated with, and they got a credit card. And then they kind of fell on hard times, but they needed their car to survive. And I guess they made the decision. They had been told that credit cards are unsecured, and so that they could not pay their credit card and then try to make it up later or something like that. The idea was like, hey, I can't afford all my bills, but I need my car to be able to go to work, and I don't want to lose my car, so I'm not going to make my credit card payment, and my credit cards are unsecured, so I should be good. And then what ended up happening was their car got repossessed. And they found out, and then they got repossessed, and then a whole bunch of other things came out, and then they ended up like way worse off. And what they would have done, had their original plan was like when they got a job going again and they got things on track, they were going to go back and try to fix their credit card issue, but instead they were sort of forced into bankruptcy at that point because they ended up like owing tens of thousands of dollars, and they just couldn't quite afford it, and so they opted to, I believe, do a chapter 7 instead. And I was like, what do you mean? And I did not realize, one thing I just wasn't aware of is this concept called cross collateralization. And it is not. So basically, many credit unions, so when I heard this story, I thought this was only credit unions. That's not true. Banks can do this as well, and not all credit unions do this. It's just something that credit unions are more likely to do than banks. Apparently, I do not know that. I do not know if that's true or not, but the implications are that credit unions are more, that they use a lending practice called cross collateralization, which means that any loan you take from them can be secured by collateral from another loan. Now, I thought that this was just built in. When I heard this story, I thought this was just built into it, but it actually has to be written into the document, into your loans. You can't just do that. But I didn't realize, based on this, it seems like it can be ahead of time. Like they can write that into the credit card and then give you a car loan. And okay, so that was to me the big thing. And so basically, credit unions do this to reduce their risk. So, and I think that's fine. Like, I don't really have a problem with that, but I do think that it should be very, very clear. They shouldn't, it should be very, very clear if they do that. If they're like, hey, every loan you get from us is cross collateralized. Um, and then, I didn't realize that basically the reason credit unions can offer lower rates, it always had this sort of kumbaya, like, oh, it's just everybody, it's member owned, so they can offer. But no, it's that they do this, and this lowers their risk, because if you just get a credit card and you don't pay it, the bank's just out of luck. But if you get a credit card and you're going to lose your house if you don't pay it, you're way more likely. So yeah, check your loan agreement. recruit, all that. So I feel like they should, yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what I feel about that. This is why I love ChatGPT because you can actually get information like this. I think when you're asking very specific things, you can get very specific answers, and most of the time they're correct. Um, and then we kind of go in there, and then credit unions, car loans, cloud used for credit card, often yes, banks. It's just rare. They don't have to do it. It's just the structure of banks, but a bank could do it. So you shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm at a bank, so this isn't going to happen. Um, Risk of repossession due to credit card default possible. Banks, no. As long as you're not in the loan agreement, many link multiple debts, separate for each loan. And now, if a credit, yeah, so the fact that your house can be locked into all your other loans sort of does that. I think basically my takeaway from this is that you probably should not. You if you deal with the credit union and you have a loan, you should probably just have the one loan. You probably shouldn't have other loans. Um, you know, um, uh, I feel like this advice is sort of the most important thing. But the problem is there's so much legalese and words in finance mean the same word can mean something different in finance, and it can mean something different in credit, and it can mean something different in law, and it can mean something different in your common language that you speak with your friends. So I think this is kind of like it's good advice, but I don't think it's not as clear. I don't think it's a good. I don't think it's a guarantee because there's a very good chance that when you read it, you may it might actually do more damage than good because and you and but you should still do it and you should be careful. But the thing is you may read a word that means something completely different to you than the word that's in there, and there's your really and then you could think something means something that it doesn't. Like prejudice means something totally different in law than it does in conversation. Notorious means something different in law than it means in regular conversation. And then all these words have different meanings in all kinds of different things like finance and all that. Apparently, you can ask for a waiver. I don't know. I seriously doubt they're capable of doing that. Um, you probably should use different things, especially if you know like you're going to take a chance. Oh man, I'm going to take a big risk with this. I want to buy this thing. I think it could pay off big time for me, but it could also I could crash and burn. So, you don't want to lose your house, but if you're at your credit union, you could think, "Oh, okay, I'm going to go get a $30,000. They gave me a credit card. It's worth $30,000. I can use it to try to start this business. Oh, the business is failing. Okay, well, that sucks. This is going to kill my credit rating. Oh crap, they're taking my house. Like that is something that you really have to worry about. And this is something I was not aware of, and I don't think most people were. I know my wife is also like she helps all kinds of people all the time. Like people come to her. She's super super smart, so people come to her for help all the time. She was completely unaware of this, and then I know that my son is an actual attorney. Like he's a legit. He went to law school, got past the bar, all that. Totally unaware of this. So I don't think this is something most people are aware of. And I don't think this is something that like I think the reason most people aren't aware of this is because the powers that be would like us to be unaware of this. So this is clearly falls under the user lose it sort of concept. Um, like I said, I'm just a regular guy that heard a story that's just telling their story and then got on to Chat GPT and read stuff off of Chat GPT on here. Um, yeah, federal truth and apparently there is a federal truth in lending act. Credit unions must disclose cross collateralization. I do not think most people are familiar with this phrase, cross terms in a clear and conspicuous manner. Who the heck knows what conspicuous means in different domains. Like conspicuous may just mean, like to me, conspicuous means in a way that we can all understand it in our language. But it could be, um, who the heck knows what that means? Let's ask ChatGPT, what does conspicuous mean? Conspicuous mean? Question mark. In legal terms, is clearly visible, noticeable, and not hidden. So not understandable is not one of them. So that a reasonable person, what the hell does reasonable mean? Right? To me, legal. Okay, so then they actually say what it has to be. Uh, they don't have to have bold text, larger font size, capital letters, underlined or italicized text, separate section with set separate section. So yeah, so like, oh, okay, here's the contract. Oh, and by the way, there's like an addendum, and there's 85 of them, and the 63rd has cross collateralization notice on it. So that to me is actually even um, less visible if it's in some addendum, some attachment, um, or a separate section. Um, Clearly and conspicuously. So, what is a reasonable person? Person? Question mark. How an average, rational, and prudent individual would act in a given. So, average. What is average? Pay. I'm going to end up using all of my chat GPT, so I can't use it for technical things. I suspect, I could spend all day, right, going through, but I suspect an average person would probably be like someone with a bachelor's degree, which I feel like an average person for. So just because you have a bachelor's degree in, let's say, engineering doesn't mean you have a bachelor's degree knowledge in finance, right? Or so like average to me, not I'm not trying to be like insulting, but I'm saying like my knowledge from a computer programming perspective may be, you know, like doctorate level, but my knowledge of, let's say, construction is probably like an 8-year-old's level. So maybe average should be like a seventh grader, right? Like, because it's not average in finance or in banking. It's average in society. And just because I know a lot about one thing doesn't mean that I have any understanding at all in this stuff. But anyways, yeah. So keep that in mind when you're getting into a loan. Don't just assume that. I hear it all the time. As a matter of fact, I've probably literally in my class that I'm taking about bankruptcy heard that examples of unsecured loan are credit cards. Not some credit cards, not non-collateral, cross-collateralized credit cards. And turns out that's not always true. And I do think that even if you're going to sit in a paralegal course for bankruptcy and they're going to tell you that an example of a non-secured loan is credit cards when that isn't necessarily true, is and it can kind of be slid by on you, because who knows, like what if, like when you first open an account with the credit card company, with the like a checking account with your bank, your financial institution. So because I don't think it's fair to just separate banks from credit unions in this. But what if when you create that loan, that's where you agree with it, and it's conspicuous, and you don't really even, you're like creating, you don't even know that it's what the word cross collateralized even means, which I didn't know what that word meant yesterday morning when I did my thing yesterday. But anyways, yeah. So be careful. Um, your credit score is insanely, ridiculously important. It hasn't always been, but it is today. If you get caught up in some weird credit thing, you could find yourself not able to find a job. You could find yourself not be able to find a place to live. It can have massive effects on your ability to do just about anything in society anymore because your credit score is extraordinarily important and something that you should probably be very careful with. But everybody, yeah, happy coding. And let's see, let me turn my camera on. Bye.